Hey, this is Off the Cuff, and I'm Steve from TorahFamily.org. I've been saying for several years now how I really believe we're all going through tests to see which fellowship of Revelation we'll fall into when everything begins. Now, while everyone wants to claim they're in the Church of Philadelphia, the fact of the matter is, it's only one of the 7 fellowships, and we can't all be in the same fellowship. Someone has to be in the others. Many of us default in our thinking that the fellowships of Revelation are the same size. But odds are, they're all various sizes, with the Church of Philadelphia most likely being the smallest of them all. And more than likely, the Church of Laodicea is the largest. When going through these tests, we need to understand Yahweh doesn't grade on a curve. The bar has been set, and it's not going to change. Just as Yahweh was looking for the right men to fight with Gideon, He's looking for the right men to fight at the Battle of Armageddon. The 144,000. The men numbered for war just as He numbered the men for war after they came out of Egypt. His sifting was simple at the time of Gideon, a separation of those who act like dogs and those who act like men. However, it could be just as simple today. Those who don't walk in love and those who do. Let's read this account regarding Gideon. Judges chapter 7. Yahweh said to Gideon, "You have too many men for me to deliver Midian into their hands, in order that Israel may not boast against me that her own strength has saved her. Announce now to the people, anyone who trembles with fear may turn back and leave Mount Gilead." So 22,000 men left, while 10,000 remained. Now, this means he started out with 32,000 men. Continuing on, verse 4. But Yahweh said to Gideon, "There are still too many men. Take the men down to the water, and I will sift them for you there. If I say, 'This one shall go with you,' he shall go. But if I say, 'This one shall not go with you,' he shall not go." This meant Gideon would have no say in the matter. Yahweh would pick the men, not him. Why? Because Gideon would obviously have picked the strongest looking men. But something tells me Yahweh picked the smallest and scrawniest of those 10,000 remaining men. Now, I can't prove it, of course, but I guess that's just how I think. Continuing on, verse 5. So Gideon took the men down to the water. There Yahweh told him, "Separate those who lap the water with their tongues like a dog, from those who kneel down to drink." So the separation is to be between those who gets down like a dog and puts their face in the water, and those who kneel while being aware of their surroundings brings the water to their face. Verse 6. 300 men lapped with their hands to their mouths. All the rest got down on their knees to drink. Yahweh said to Gideon, "With the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the other men go, each to his own place." So Gideon sent the rest of the Israelites to their tents, but kept the 300, who took over the provisions and trumpets of the others. Now, verse 8 is very telling to me. Notice where it says, "But he kept the 300, who took over the provisions and trumpets of the others." Up to this point, these 300 men were in charge of nothing. Again, they were most likely considered the least of them all. Yahweh was sifting out. Sifting, an action that removes the unwanted from the wanted. I don't know about you, but I hope and pray I'm wanted by Yahweh. Many know the biggest test that's been going on for a while now is our willingness to walk in His Torah and the ability to love one another while doing so. It's the test regarding the two greatest commands, as seen here. The problem that I see is the attitude in people towards others when they don't believe the same as themselves. Instead of loving despite the differences, many judge their brothers or sisters. But that's not the only test going on right now. There are many kinds of tests going on. The failure of a fellow believer might be your test to see how you will react to them or even think about them. Will you look down on them or pray for them? Everyone is going through tests right now. Everyone is. And again, your test might be Him checking your attitude towards others in their tests. Do you mock or scoff at their failures? Do you mock or scoff at what they believe? Be mindful of this because that could put you in the seat of mockers. We have a short 15-minute teaching on that, simply titled The Seat of Mockers. If you haven't seen it, you may find it worth the 15 minutes. Regarding that topic, please consider Acts 13:40. Take care that what the prophets have said does not happen to you. Look, you scoffers, wonder and perish. For I am going to do something in your days that you would never believe, even if someone told you. What if this time is sooner than later? Where do you stand with the Father right now? We're being given tests more and more to see if we will love our brothers as ourselves, and many are failing left and right. We're being given tests to see if we'll stand for truth. We're being given tests to see if we'll fail to various temptations. The tests are coming in all kinds of forms. A test for you may not be a test for someone else. A test for someone else may not be a test for you. But that doesn't give you the right to mock them. When reading the book of Proverbs, you'll find a certain individual show up multiple times. Now, depending your version that you read, you'll see him as the mocker, or the scorner, and even the scoffer. So, what are some attributes of this individual? They can be firm in their opinions and pretty much laugh at the thought that they could be wrong. They struggle at giving respect to others and are more apt to demean others through insults, to their face or even behind their back. For some of them, they take pride when they can humiliate others. For what it's worth, these people can be very intelligent, but it's not about their mental ability. It's about their mental attitude towards others. Or maybe I should say it's more about their mental attitude towards themselves. They consider themselves a cut above the rest. They long to receive the respect they think they deserve. To say, look what I did. It's called pride. To be in charge or over as many as they possibly can, even if it's just to throw their knowledge over yours. And many love taking matters into their own hands. Again, always wanting to show themselves worthy of being in charge, many times with an overbearing confidence. The ultimate goal, consciously or unconsciously, is to esteem themselves higher than others. They have the feeling that what they've been given is more important than what others have or are doing. Debunking and belittling, all in the name of love to show you the proper way, of course. But it's the very opposite of what Yeshua said we should be doing. Matthew 23:11. The greatest among you will be your servant. And Philippians 2:3. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility, consider others better than yourselves. How do you treat others? While you may have your opinion, what would others say? Are you constantly trying to correct others? If so, I request that you put that energy in prayer for those people. The Holy Spirit will communicate with them much better than you. So if you really care for them, pray for them. Or, as I like to think of it, someone who says they really care will prove it in prayer. There's an old saying that goes, "There but for the grace of God, go I." In other words, if it wasn't for God's grace, that would be me. It's an expression of humility that acknowledges outside factors such as God's grace or someone's upbringing have played a role in someone's success in life, and not simply by the choices or wisdom that they have. It shows how one shouldn't judge others for their flaws, since we're all flawed. So be careful when looking down on others. It could easily be you. Just like with Gideon's army. Was Yahweh picking the strongest men or the weakest men? Was Yahweh choosing the men who could wield the sword the best or the men who had the humblest heart? Just because you're smart and may possess a ton of knowledge, right knowledge even, of the Word, it doesn't mean your heart is right before Him. Yahweh is choosing those who have the right heart before Him. He'll straighten out the doctrine later. He wants those who have a heart right before Him. That's who He will choose. But what if this really is the time Yahweh is giving the final exam for all His people to see who makes the cut, to be a part of His army, just like with Gideon? At the time of that test, of the drinking of the water, he had 10,000 men. Afterwards, he only had 300. That's only 3%. But he started with 32,000. So in reality, he ended up with less than 1% of what he started out with. Less than 1%. Will that be how it works out for those who make the cut of being in His army for the Battle of Armageddon? Less than 1% makes the cut of being in the 144,000 who are considered the first fruits? And bear in mind, the 144,000 represent the faithful men throughout all time, throughout all of history, not just modern day. That really brings it into perspective to how small the Church of Philadelphia really is. So do we really believe it's about how smart we are? Do we really believe it's how well we can prove people wrong in their theology? Or is it about how those who seek Him with a humble and pure heart? What if these are the days just before the time the 144,000 are finally chosen from all time? Where will you stand when it all goes down? Regarding these tests we're all going through, please consider this dream a good friend of ours just shared recently. She said, "I'm not a morning person, and it takes me time to wake up and then get my eyes open properly. It's a slow process for me. However, this morning I woke up very abruptly and eyes instantly opened. I had to check that I had just been dreaming because it felt very real. In the dream, I first of all heard what sounded like the loudest, closest, scariest thunder I'd ever heard. The sound was so real and intense. Imagine being on the highest mountain during a violent thunderstorm. Then the ground completely tilted dramatically, and everything around began to fall apart in a huge earthquake. That was when I abruptly woke, and I honestly had to check it wasn't happening. I looked around the room and outside at the garden. Just a dream? Perhaps. But nevertheless, Scripture says such an event is coming. What if it is very, very soon? Am I ready? Are you ready? What is ready? Ready is walking with and like Yeshua, holding on to the testimony of Yeshua and following the commandments of the Father. Revelation 12:17 and 14:12. If you're rejecting either of these now, the great tribulation is sent to humble you and cause you to put both of these into practice. Hence, Yeshua says he will be turning away those who love him but practice Torahlessness, and those who do not know him. That is seen in Matthew 7:23. Yahweh is extremely gracious. However, a time is coming when he will appear the exact opposite. Pop quizzes are one thing, but it seems as if everyone has the feeling the final exam is coming. The thing is, in most schools, at least back in the day when I was still in school, students could bypass the final exam if they were already making an A. The same is true in the Scriptures. Thus, Yeshua said in Luke 21:36, "Be always on the watch, and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man." While we'll all have our different tests the Father has for us as individuals, the final exam is one we can bypass pending how well we do on the other tests. Don't cram for the final. Skip it all together. I completely understand the view that this may not be it. I get it. It might not be. It might just be the Braxton Hicks we're seeing, and we could have years to go still. I get that. But what if it is it? What if that isn't the case? The final sifting of seeing who will be in his army could be happening right now. As in the test with Gideon, are you drinking like a man or like dogs? Where will you stand when that sifting is complete? The sifting of him choosing for his army, just like with Gideon. But this time, it's for his army at the 144,000. Please be aware of the tests your life is bringing you right now. Because it's not just life, it's him. He is bringing tests our way every day. We need to be aware of what we're facing and realize that every day is a test. And it could be those very tests we're going through right now that equates to the time of Gideon putting his army down by the water, and Yahweh's looking to see who's acting like dogs and who's acting like upright men. Make sure you pass. Well, that's all I have. Think about it. Pray about it. But more than anything, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only. Until next time, Shalom.